Computer. Hello and welcome to Fit With Us episode 29. Is that 29, Gary?
Yes,
Yes.
29, mate.
For anybody listening, normally there's about a 5 minute speech of me asking Gary what episode we're on, where we're going, what we're doing. But you know what? I feel on my big boy pants today. Episode 29, Fit With Us. Top now must be 5% of podcasts. Still don't have an intro music, so we're gonna have to put something together for episode 30. It's happening.
Don't, oh, are you giving us a week to get something sorted?
It's happening, mate. It's just going to have that. Even if it's one of those, like, when you used to have the wee keyboards and it just played its own wee tune. Even if it's one of those, we're getting something sorted.
We need to what we'll do is we'll just download a song on Spotify and I'll just play that through the microphone at the start of the episode.
Bit of Shakira.
A bit of Shakira. No, let's continue the conversation that we were having. We were just talking about the fight at the weekend there and who we think won. I genuinely think Usyk won, hands down. The fact that Tyson Fury said in his post-match speech, "Happy New Year," just goes to show how much blows he took to the head.
Did they say that?
I think Jesus Christ, Happy New Year, shit like that.
Ah, happy days. I didn't stay on long enough to listen to that. I've literally just watched the fight, turned it off, went, right, I'm glad that's fucking done. That's me retired in all 10 years.
He screamed it down into the mic. Happy New Year. I didn't know Usyk was like 37.
Yeah, man, it looks like he's had a tough paper.
Well, you would fucking grown up in Ukraine.
Um, Yeah, like to be fair, I was saying that to you. It's the first actual fight that I've watched in years. I think the last one before that was the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor one, which was a bit of a fucking spectacle anyway. And
Oh,
then before that, it was Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, which was also a bit shite. So I used to watch all the like I used to have all the fucking DVDs. I used to watch all the boxing, everything, and then I've just fallen away from it. Like
aye.
I know this was the first unified fight, but you know what? There was too many titles these days. It's just like fucking too many divisions.
And the fact that Usyk's like stepped up for cruiserweight as well, though, is quite impressive.
Yeah. Uh,
I just touching on Mayweather there, like watching Mayweather fight for me personally is like watching the Rangers team that got to the 2008 UEFA Cup final.
just holding on for penalties.
Literally, man, just a 0-0 draw, one on penalties.
Yeah. To be fair, it's a good analogy, mate. I'm sure anybody who supports or watches them will have enjoyed it, but at the same time, I say enjoyed it. Well, they've obviously celebrated success there, but no, it's not. It's not fun. When you look at the likes of, not that either of us are old enough to watch Muhammad Ali, but you watch like the entertaining Muhammad Ali, the Mike Tysons, like even to an extent George Foreman's and Joe Frazier's and everybody like that. You're talking heavyweight boxing, that type of boxing in there. It's different. Whereas, yeah, it's just not like that anymore.
I know, mate. How long were fucking the Klitschko brothers up there? Like 10 years or something like that?
That's right, Klitschko brothers. Yeah.
Oh, they were boring as fuck, weren't they?
Did you ever watch Joe Calzaghe?
I did, mate. Aye.
I know it's a different weight division, but
Aye, he
I
was
enjoyed
good.
Joe. I enjoyed Joe Calzaghe.
Joe Calzaghe was fun. Ricky Hatton.
Oh man, honestly, I have never been as devastated with another sport than I was. Like football's usually the only thing I get really emotional about. Whereas Ricky Hatton, see the day that he fought Floyd Mayweather, mate, I watched everything. I was watching what's it called, the 24/7 build up to it. So I was literally watching it every evening, watching the training, getting right behind it. And I hated Floyd Mayweather as well. So I wanted Ricky Hatton to batter him. Um, and then seeing the first round or two, I think I get Ricky Hatton hit him a punch or two that almost wobbled him a wee bit. And I was like, go on, Ricky. Devastated. I think it was round 8 or round 10. He got knocked out, man.
Aye.
I stayed up to about 4 in the morning to watch it. I was literally went, I think it was like 16, went to my bed almost crying.
Oh, that's class. Ricky Hatton was a character, I know.
Not,
Um,
I met him. I didn't meet him. I was walking down, what's it? You know, Nelson Mandela Square. See, when you
mhm.
pass that, there's a wee street you cross. So I was at the traffic lights crossing the street. I looked to my left, and in the car, I was like, "Fuck, he looks like Ricky Hatton." I was like, "Fuck, that's Ricky Hatton." At the same time, I was like, "What am I going to do?" It's one of those ones. I'm like, I was about to wave at him, thinking he knew me. I'm like, he doesn't know me, so I'm
Aye.
just going to look at him, and go, "Ah, that's Ricky Hatton." Put my head back down, like, oh,
Just I gave him a wee nod.
we nod approval. He definitely. Seen the double glance that I gave him.
Aye.
Probably gets that a lot, to be fair.
To be fair, I had my pal hanging out my motor waving at Nicola Sturgeon and she waved back, so you might have got a wee wave again.
Nicola Sturgeon looks like she's been through 8 rounds as well.
Jesus Christ, aye. She definitely had a tough paper round, man. She was on a night shift in the milk round.
Oh Jesus.
Uh,
Who is who is the like I don't pay attention to politics much anymore, but who is the MP of Scotland at the moment? Is it
no idea. No idea.
is no, okay, fair enough. No, that's fine.
What were you gonna ask? Is it
I was
who?
I was gonna say I don't know if it was somebody that was up for the election or is somebody is there an Asian guy that's the
He stepped down a couple of weeks ago.
sound. Maybe you next, mate.
It's all gone to shit, man. I know. Gary for SNP leader, man.
I genuinely don't even know who's the it's Richie Sunak that's UK, isn't it?
Aye, but him and Keir Starmer have got their election on the 4th of July, I believe. June, is it June? June or July? It's the 4th or something.
Remember the time when, people wonder why the world is in the state they are, but remember the time we had Boris Johnson, you had Donald Trump, you had Vladimir Putin, and you had Kim Jong-un, all
Yeah.
leaders of like some of the most powerful countries in the world.
Mhm.
I feel like you should have a celebrity boxing match between them. That'd be a
Mind out cartoon celebrity death match.
Oh man,
Get them in there.
I used to have that
Uh,
as. Did you ever have like your PS1 game? Did you ever have Celebrity Deathmatch for your PS?
oh my, what a game.
I didn't even pay for it, mate. I went down the bars and got a chip version of it.
Fantastic. Black
You
and
could,
white.
mate, you could only play the first 30 minutes and it kept on resetting.
That's what happens when you buy your games to the bars, mate.
Best five I've ever said. Best 50 minutes I've ever
No,
had.
speaking about that fucking head case Trump, obviously they've got their election coming up soon as well. And apparently Trump supporters, do you call them Republicans? I don't know. I don't know anything about politics. I'm shite at it. But they're putting flyers through people's doors, and on the doors it says, not on the door, sorry, on the flyers it says something along the lines of, if you don't vote for Trump, Trump will find out because your votes are public, and you don't want that on your record.
Sound nothing like a bit of friendly,
I know.
yeah.
Uh,
It's only in America, isn't it?
Only in America. Only in America. I think something to do with like the last election as well, when fucking Sleepy Joe get voted in as well. I think like Trump actually did win that election
Sleepy Joe here.
or some shit. Like 53% or something they had, and I don't know.
For anybody listening that doesn't already know, I live in a small town in Ireland that fucking nothing happens in. Sorry to anybody Dundalk listening, but it's fucking true, right? But in last year, Joe Biden came to Dundalk, which everybody made a big deal. I turned up one day, actually it was 2 years ago, maybe 2023, early 2023. I was just about to close down the gym. So still had it, but I remember going into town and seeing those tons of America flags, which was a difference from the Ukrainian flags, which was now America and is now probably like Palestine, but just fucking, it's never Irish. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I was like wondering why I was in America. But then I found out Joe Biden was coming. And the guards came round and pretty much said I'd be better closing the gym that day. And I was like, fucking superb. Cheers for the notice. No worries. So I was almost caught in town. And then I was like, do I really want to see Joe Biden? Not really. I was like, I cycled home. I cycled past all of the cars coming in. I probably put cycle past Joe Biden. I wouldn't, like, if he was in my back garden, I'd close the curtains. Not interested in him. I genuinely would be more interested in Donald Trump or whatever, just because of their personality. Like, I don't care about his politics, just because of their personality. Joe Biden, as you said, Sleepy Joe, but just it's boring.
Aye. It's not even real Joe Biden anyway. It's a stand-in fake, innit?
Fucking AI.
Aye. Apparently it's a clone or some shit. Or Joe Biden, the real Joe Biden's dead. Same.
One of the biggest myths that I ever heard was actually, it was when one of my mates wound me up when I was like 8 years old and used to tell me that all celebrities that had lookalikes. So see when David Beckham was having a bad game for Man United, it wasn't actually David Beckham.
That's but see when I'm having a shite day, it's not actually me.
So it's not Gary.
Aye. See if I'm ever cheeky to you, it's my clone.
What an excuse that would be.
It's my stand-in.
I
Right.
interrupted you saying something there, mate. So do you know what it was? I don't want to be.
No, mate. No, I have no idea. My body's here, but my brain's still in bed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I tried to vow that I wouldn't keep talking about the lack of sleep, but last year, I was
I,
going to
I think it
propose.
makes us extremely relatable, mate, because but I think every 95% of people that listen to this podcast are probably on the same boat.
I said to Jen last night, like we've tried to get into more of a routine of who takes him for his feeds, and he's went from sleeping for 3 hours to 4 hours. But then once you think you've got him sussed, he just throws a curveball in and goes, "I'm not sleeping at all." So the last couple of nights I've seen the only hours that I didn't see last night were 1 and 2, and that's only because Jen was still up with him downstairs. And then when she came to bed with him, just decides to make noises. Like it just sounds like fucking like a garden strimmer. Like he just makes noises. And you're just
That's
up all night with him. But do you know what is quite interesting is like I know people say to you, oh, you actually can get away with like not having that much sleep. Like right now, I'm like, I do feel there's this tiredness of just you're not there 100%, but at the same time, still getting about doing things. Like
mhm.
that's
Aye, 100%, 100%. I completely agree with you as well. You know, I got home last night and I thought to myself, how the fuck did I get through today?
yeah.
It was just one of those days, you know what I mean? Like that was just an absolute blur. Um, Probably my own fault by dragging my ass out of bed at 6 o'clock yesterday morning and gone for a run.
Yeah, mate, when you sent me that, I was like, fucking Mo Farah over here. What's
Ah,
happening?
mate, sick of feeling like shite, so I decided it's time to take some action.
A wee
Um,
impromptu run.
a wee impromptu run, and I'll tell you something, see the DOMs I've got today for it.
I,
Uh,
I was going to say, from a programming point of view, probably not the best week to have chosen the week before testing week, but
Aye, I know. Here we are. My quads are pretty fried, so I'm not going to run again this week. I'm going to get squatting probably on Sunday by the time my quads recover. And then after testing week next week, it's definitely something that I want to get back into because it was nice, see, just getting up, dragging myself out of bed. It was difficult, I'm not going to lie, it was hard. But see, after I came back, I was on running for what, 4.5, like 3 miles, I think I'd done like 4.6, 4.7K. Um, Mate, I had the most productive morning. The most productive morning. I had calls all morning. You've got a bit of coffee on your nose. Um,
it's fine, mate. I'll embrace that. Osmosis, mate, it's going to absorb anyway.
Calls all morning. I was getting rattled into work and I felt really fucking energetic and really pumped. And I was like, this is fantastic. 7 o'clock last night though, it hit.
Yeah.
And I still had a couple hours left in the gym to go. Um, but yeah, it's on you go.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think that's 100% it. Like, when it comes to, like, I always say to people, like, you don't need cardio for fat loss. And I actually
Hmm.
want to get cardio away from the view of fat loss. But
Hmm.
what I would say is, like, cardio is one of the best things you can do in terms of your productivity, your recovery, your just general well-being. I think there's a lot to be said in there for just actually breath work. Like, I know it's said all the time about like, oh, just do breath work. I get my head too much with this breath work. I don't actually sit down. I always think about the things I'm not doing rather than actually breath
Yeah.
work. Whereas if you send me out on a run or a cycle or whatever, like you're forced to do the breathing work. You're forced not to be on your phone. You're forced to do all that. I think that makes a massive difference. But it's all about changing mood state. Like people,
Hmm.
you wake up in the morning and it's like sometimes the best you'll feel is within the first half hour of you waking up, and then it's you're either
Hmm.
staying that way or it's not changing. And I think there's a lot to be said about hacking how your mood state is, and a
Yep.
lot of people use the wrong things for that. And what I mean by that is like you can use the likes of like caffeine, nicotine, alcohol. Any of that can change your mood state like short term, and that's what you're looking for. Whereas one of the underrated things that's underrated because people don't do it enough because it takes effort is a bit of cardiovascular work. It doesn't need to be like fucking 40 minutes, like genuinely like a 10 minute, just if it's a jog, if it's a doing a few star jumps, if it's like just genuinely a brisk walk, like any
Hmm.
make a difference.
Just literally 10 minutes, go for a brisk walk, and that kind of fresh air as well, like just allowing yourself to get some fresh air first thing in the morning is absolutely it's invigorating. Because I was getting into a really, really bad habit and a really bad routine. And this has been going on for I would probably say about 4, 5, maybe even going on 6 weeks, where I would get up in the morning and I would grab my phone immediately and check messages
Yeah, man.
on WhatsApp. And then I would log into Instagram, check messages, clear the notifications, and then do Facebook. And then before I knew it, I was half an hour, 45 minutes already lying in bed, just scrolling because the algorithm is made to keep you scrolling. And that just zapped every single bit of motivation I had for the day. I got out of bed dreading the day ahead because I was in that really poor routine and really had that really bad habit. So what I started trying to do from, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half, I started to try and stay away from my phone in the morning, get myself up, come downstairs, do business in the toilet, come downstairs, have a coffee, just try to do stuff to keep myself moving and keep myself busy, load up the laptop, get some client messages and whatnot. Um, try to stay away from social media as long as I possibly could, but I still found myself kind of picking my phone up. Even during check-ins, like I would do two, three, four check-ins, and then I would sit like that for 10 minutes, and then I'll go fuck check-ins, and then by the time I try and switch back onto the check-ins, my mind's gone.
Yeah.
Um, so doing that run yesterday, it was absolutely mind blowing how different I felt when I come home. Because obviously, running, we spoke about running last week. It's very taxing, like you said. It's just a number of consecutive jumps, one after the other. So
Yeah.
it's very tiring on the body. I was tired, but like I say, I felt super energetic. I had that endorphin rush. I got a massive dopamine hit off the back of it as well. And I fired up the laptop, mate, and 2 hours, I was just fucking bang. Do you know what I mean? And that's not something that happens very often, especially when you start bad habits like the one that I did. And touching on the breathing thing as well, that's another reason I wanted to start it because I haven't bought a vape in over a week now.
Good man.
Still stealing a wee bit of Rachel's every now and again, but it's definitely a lot better. And this is the thing, like, and this is what I tell like lots of clients: stop trying to aim for perfection and aim for progress. And for me personally, not buying a vape in over a week is insane progress. Like I say, I'm still stealing a wee bit of Rachel's, but I'm not sitting with a vape in my hand, just puffing, puffing, puffing. Do you know what I mean? I'm maybe having five, six, 7 puffs a day now. So it's progress. Eventually, obviously, I want to get down to zero. But I'm delighted with the progress so far. So, that's another reason I wanted to try it, and yeah, made me feel amazing off the back of it. So,
Yeah, the only thing I'd say back to you on that, mate, is just when you've done what you've done in terms of the cardio work, whilst recently you're remembering all the positives to it, I think trying to make that routine, as in
yeah.
like fitting that in some a weekly basis so that you can see the effects long term and
Mhm.
it becomes routine because again, it's not like a coffee, a vape, or whatever you can just pick up and change straight away. You're going to say things to yourself like you don't have time, you don't have the energy, you whatever. It's raining outside. I think actually making it for yourself a non-negotiable to see how you're like even just do it for a 60-day period and
Mhm.
see what that actually feels like long term because when you do that it makes a massive difference and I think I've said this before as well but like I cycle quite a lot. Now that I don't have a gym, I've got like less cycling in my week, but I still make sure even I genuinely if I get to 5 days without cycling, I'm starting to feel there's a difference. I don't know what it is straight away. I'm like, why am I feeling a little bit more angsty? Why am I feeling like I'm just not productive enough or as productive as I want to be? And I'm like, I always look back and go, I've not cycled. So
Yeah.
I'll get the bike and I'll be like, right, cool. I'm going to do, even if it's just a 20-minute round it could be locally, it could be again just a straight line, it could be wherever. I'm just going to go and do something. And to be fair, it makes a massive difference. So I think, yeah, 100% on that. Felt like I had something else to say, but I've completely forgot what it was. So we'll move on very swiftly.
I definitely think it's going to be a lot easier to keep it up. Or kind of make it a habit when we move house because right now, as you know, you've been over to the house. We stay in the highest fucking point in the universe. So there's just hills everywhere, and that absolutely kills me. But when we move, we're right next to a park. It's fairly flat, so it's going to be easy to actually get up and go. It's not the weather that puts me off right now. It's just the hills that absolutely kill me. To be fair, most of the listeners have probably heard me speaking about this. But yeah, I live around the corner right now with the in-laws. Right round the corner for Springburn Park, which actually has a plaque in it for being the highest natural point in Glasgow. not counting any flats and shit like that. But so yeah, it's pretty high.
I love how they've landmarked that, mate. You've got
Mate, aye, there's a wee sign, there's a wee placard thing.
achievement unlocked.
So the air's a lot thinner up here as well, so I struggle to breathe.
Fucking altitude training up there. There's Gary saying that he's done a 5K at altitude.
It's good, man. It's good. Right, what we talking about, mate? I know we just fucking spent what 20 minutes
Just fucking half the podcast.
talking already.
I'm
Aye.
going to just
Right,
talk
be-
shite. But there we are. Talk
before I
shite.
forget, I did message Dave, so hopefully we might not have something by episode 30, but
There's me promised. Act as
so
the big man saying episode 30. So, Dave, if you're listening, do us a favour. Don't make me look like a gimp. And
no, we'll have something for 30, but Dave might not have something for 30. How's that?
how about that? Yeah, we'll work with that. But yeah, today's podcast, I think we're going to talk about how we'd set up a new client for success. Does that sound good to you, mate?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, cool. So, I think there's a few things. Do you know what? Actually, it's one of those ones that only came to mind because I was speaking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about how they didn't feel listened to from the
Mhm.
last couple of coaches and stuff that they want. And I think a lot of time when somebody gets started, there is obviously an emotional, they want to do something, and sometimes they do take it. Like I was listening to someone else and they were saying, like, with no risk comes no reward. And it doesn't matter what stage you are at life and what
Mhm.
ceiling you're at. It's like it's the same. There always needs to be an element of risk. The risk gets higher, the reward gets more. But for anybody to reach out to a PT or fitness, or even go into a gym for a lot of people, or like go a weekly shop aiming to do something different, like it's a bit daunting at times. So with that, what I think probably the best thing to do is what are the key things that we need to do to ensure success in the first place? So if Gary, if somebody came to you saying they wanted to make a change and they wanted to do things differently, how would you go about it to start off with? What type of questions would you ask them?
Firstly, I would figure out what it is they're actually wanting to change and what it is they currently do at the minute. Um, could be something, could be something simple like, um, I want to feel a bit better. Just something pure ridiculous is, no ridiculous, as simple as that. I would go about, just trying to kind of break down what their daily and what their weekly life looks like on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis. Asking them questions that they probably didn't even think needed answered, essentially, like, how's your sleep? A lot of people come, what the fuck are you asking about my sleep for?
A shite, mate. Thanks for asking.
Aye, thanks for asking. So yeah, just kind of breaking their day to day and their week to week down. I was going to say hourly, but not hourly, just daily. Fuck man, you put me on the spot here and I shat myself.
That's all right. But mate, you hit it nail on the head. I think creating clarity first. It's always important to be super.
Clarity is massive.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that a lot of clients struggle with, especially new clients. They struggle with clarity because they feel like if they be super honest with us, we might judge them. And two, they aren't as clear as what they should or could be because they don't believe the small details matter.
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. I think clarity installs two things. I think for both you and them, I think there needs to be, as you touched on, if somebody came to me saying they want to feel better, I'm like, without actually saying that to them, I'm like, I'm here for it, but what is feeling better for you in the first place? And if they can't express what feeling better is in the first place, I'll be like, okay, well, how are you feeling now? So it's either, do you know what you're going towards? Or,
Mhm.
okay, if we don't know what we're going towards, where don't we want to be in the first place? And a lot of the time, if they can't contextualize the fact that, like, some people feeling better could be, I want to drop 2 dress sizes, or I want to lose 2 stone, or that could be for them, that's what feeling better is. Or it could just be, I want to walk up the stairs without feeling out of breath. That
Mhm.
could be quantifiably what is feeling better. But again, sometimes it might not be known. It might actually be the fact that, well, actually, probably that's a good one. I want to walk up the stairs without feeling out of breath. That's where that's where they don't want to be. Really, they don't want to. They're sick of feeling like that, and they know that they're going on a downward trajectory. So that's where they don't want to be. Asking probing questions, I think, a lot of time,
Mhm.
like, how do you currently feel about yourself physically? Because, you know what, some people don't actually want to feel different physically. The majority of people that I work with, they want to have a physical change, but there are a lot of people out there as well who don't actually necessarily physical's a kind of secondary objective for them. So it might be I kind of feel okay about myself physically. Cool. Okay. How do you feel about yourself then from an energy standpoint? How do you feel from a confidence standpoint? How do you feel from a fitness standpoint? Just constantly asking probing questions and looping back to the point where a mentor said to me, he's like, you need to be able to understand and express a client's goals back to them better than they can. Once you can
Yeah,
contextualize that, then you're on to a good one. And I'm like, I think having that conversation about creating clarity in the first place. And then
yeah,
you touched on next about it's then creating structure. So the reason I would imagine that you asked what their daily life looks like on a daily and weekly is because once you're clear about where you want to go, you need to break things down into actions that they can do daily and
hmm
weekly that becomes bite-sized so that
yeah.
they don't think about it. Because I'm sure you would agree on this that the biggest issue most people have is overthinking the process and then it feeling overwhelming.
Yeah, 100%. And then trying to do too much at once and trying to change too much at once. And then it actually does become overwhelming rather than just feeling overwhelming. Definitely structure is once clarity is there and both the coach and the client knows the direction they want to go in and or the direction that they don't want to go in, as you said. Getting structure in place, but making it, like you say, making it small, tiny, bite-sized, achievable tasks rather than going straight for I want to lose 2 stone or going straight for let's walk up that flight of stairs immediately.
Get up
Do you
them
know what I mean?
stairs. Get up
Get
them
up the
stairs.
stairs. So yeah, making small achievable tasks and changing things ever so slightly. We don't want to completely overhaul your life because it can be fucking terrifying to say the least. And then 2 or 3 weeks time, you're like, nah, I can't sustain this. It's too much for me. So I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, I'd also on that as well. I think the key thing is trying to find the structure, clarity structure, and then trying to break things down so there's little friction there as we can, because it needs to
hmm
be important for people to be able to do. So I would always have the conversation with them as to, okay, where are we aiming towards, but how aggressive and what you're willing to do to make this happen? Like, how important is it to you and what we're willing to do? Because there will be some people who's like, right, okay, I'm fucking done with the routine that I have at the moment, and I do want to make a change. I know I'm making takeaways 7 days a week, and I'm boozing 5 days a week, and I'm just not looking after myself. So I don't really want to keep any of that. And you're like, cool, there's a reason you're doing that in the first place, and we just need to look at like how you're decompressing, because it will find itself to bleed out in other ways, but that's fine, we can
hmm
change that. But it is important to understand the level of kind of buy-in and want to kind of to change as well, because as you said, it's like we just need to make sure that things are as frictionless, but they're clear on what they have to do as well, because the thing that overwhelms people is feeling that they have to do something. Sometimes it causes more mental energy where
hmm
this number 10,000 steps is thrown out there all the time. And look, to a large extent, like I'm here for it. I would working with lots of different people and you'd be the same. It's like I find it hard to believe that many, if any, are incapable of getting 10,000 steps, but it shouldn't be the gold standard of you have to. I've given people less than 10,000 steps, I've given people more than 10,000 steps, but really it's about finding out where they are. If they're doing 3,000 steps a day at the moment and have a diary that's busier than the barcode, and we need to introduce the gym and we need to introduce meal prep and stuff, I might not be going, do you know what, Susan, you're doing 11,000 steps a day, because I'm like,
Aye.
that will be overwhelming. But it's about making sure that they're clear on the things that why these building blocks are important and why they're being given what they're given and seeing how they respond to that.
100%, and that's clarity on our side as well. You
Yeah.
know, the changes that you're making, the bite-sized tasks that you're giving them, we need to be clear on why we're giving them to clients or Susan. Did you say Susan?
I think I said Susan, yeah.
Susan. Why we're giving them to Susan. And tell Susan, the benefits of the outcome, the benefits of the outcome.
Yeah.
Is that right? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
the benefits or the outcome of these bite-sized, achievable tasks. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you said there as well. It's just about, finding out how the clients are feeling on a much deeper level than just, I want to feel better. I want to look better. There's always a lot more to it. And like you say, sometimes the client doesn't even know themselves what it is.
I got hit with a bit of a fucking like a nugget in March, and I was like, you know what, that makes so much sense. Where I was at this kind of day thing, and the guy was talking, and he was saying, it's like we as coaches always talk about like the upside of things, and it's very rare we actually talk about the downside, but there is a downside of things, and it's like it's if you constantly tell somebody how easy it is and how great your program is and stuff, it's like without actually talking about the stuff underneath it, it's like it's very difficult to kind of buy into and relate to, because there is some really difficult things that you have to do. And like since that, I've tried to change the message a little bit, and like I think probably I was guilty of going, "Oh, do you know what? Come on board. This will be life changing for you." And it will,
Mhm.
but a lot of the time, it's like there is going to have to be an element of sacrifice, no matter, like, again, I'd say this to absolutely anybody listening. For things to change, there needs to be an element of change. There 100% is. If, like, it's you're in your comfort bubble, and really the success happens outside that. Like,
Mhm.
and just to throw in the third quotable thing here as well, without any risk, no reward. So there needs to be all three of those things. But it's always about, like, if you asked somebody, like, why don't you want to lose a stone? Why don't you want to drop a dress size? Why don't you want to walk up them stairs? Why don't you, whatever? Rather than why you do, it's usually down to, oh, it's going to take me time. It's going to take me
Yeah.
effort. It's going to take this. It's going to take that. It's all the things that they're going to feel like they have to do.
Hmm.
To an extent, they are going to have to do some form. They can't. Anyone who promises that you can do exactly what you're doing, and change is talking absolute shite.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're going to buy into a program that you're going to end up just, you know what, you've bought into, but at the end of it, you're just wasting your own time again. So
Yeah.
I think very much understanding there is going to be a little bit of a cost to what you do, but ultimately the upside of it is you are going to have life-changing results, but the cost is, and it's our
Mhm.
job just to reduce the friction to what you're paying in terms of the cost.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes. Like, for things to change, things have to change.
Mm.
And I've used it so much and stuff as well, because it does ring so true. Like, us as human beings, we fucking hate change. We hate change, but we want change so bad. But we're not willing to put the effort in to make a change. We just want to do the same thing every single day. And then we want to see a change that we want physically, mentally, energy wise, emotionally. But yeah, there is going to be a small cost to, the what you it's going to be a small cost to what you want to happen, essentially. And if you aren't willing to put that in, then there's not, like, no point in trying to sugarcoat it. Then you're not going to get to where you want to be, essentially.
I agree in that. I think there's been calls I've been on with someone, and there's certain tonalities and words and things that they've used, and I've just genuinely said to them, I was like, look, I get where you come from, but I was like, I want you to, I want to be clear on this. For things to change, there does need to be an element of change. I can't promise you can continue doing what you're doing with
Hmm.
no changes and get results. And a lot of the time, that is a wee moment that sometimes they go, oh, actually, yeah. If they've not
Hmm.
already felt like that, they do feel like that. And I think a lot of times, again, going into messaging of certain, Instagram seems to be the cesspool of just like everybody can have a voice here, there, and whatever. And we're going to do a podcast that we're not going to talk about Eddie Abu for the first time in 3 years. But I think when you see messages of like the empathetic coach, the one who constantly tells people it's fine to feel the way you are, it's fine to do the things that you want to do, it's fine to, like, life is for living and all that. And to be fair, I am here for that. If you're in a happy place, if you're in a good place and you're happy with where you are, life is for living. You do absolutely what you want to do. But see if you're not feeling great about yourself, and see if you know that some of the behaviours and you've been leaning a little bit too much into life's for living, you possibly do need to change, and you probably do need somebody there at the back end of that going, do you know what? Yeah, we do need to maybe make
Yeah.
the changes for things to change. Short term,
Aye.
maybe not long term, but short term, for you to start moving in the right direction, there does need to be an element of that.
100%. And once you've got those kind of better habits drilled in, then it becomes so much easier. And then you can start kind of taking your foot off the gas slightly, but not completely. With regards to how much, kind of effort you're putting into trying to make that wee bit of a change.
Yeah, I'm actually like, because it was actually on my mind there, and again, I deal with predominantly people in the body composition sphere, albeit
Yeah.
the way it starts is body composition. Eventually, we go into performance, energy, and all that. But it starts, most people, first 12 weeks is 12 to 16 weeks is body composition. But with that, like on my Instagram last night, there was a health and well-being coach, not name names, probably not going to put a gender in there, so you can't even go looking for them. So this unnamed,
I'll find out after the pod.
I'm going to give him a gender neutral name. I can't.
I'll find out
Alex.
after.
We'll call them Alex, and you're not going to find them. It's fine. I don't care how much detective work you do.
You're gonna tell me after the podcast, and I'm going to put the link in the description. It's when I'm doing it.
So this unnamed, ungendered person put up on
Alex.
on the reels. They're like, I'm a nutritionist, unlike most, and they're very much overweight. Like, and there are, of course, it's like it's the positivity movement coming in here, and it's like the things I do. It's like, oh, I eat the food that I like because life's for living. I almost felt it was like a trolling account because I felt my blood going a wee bit. I was like, something needs to not enable you, like, and actually say to you, do you know what? If you actually just done a few small things, you could actually not worry about your weight and do things properly because it would move you in the right direction. But anyway, sorry. So they were like, I don't worry about my weight because there's more to life than the scales. I eat and drink what I want because whatever. And it was just be this big list of things that they do. And to be fair, the comment section were wild. I'm like, Jesus, that's not going to help your mental health because it's just people slamming them for being overweight. And I was like, do you know what? There are some very simple fixes. If you stop it, it's always the hard works and the stuff you're avoiding. This, I was about to say the gender there. This person said, I'm actually, fuck it, it's too complicated me trying to mask it. She said after it, she like, by the end of this story, I'm going to have exactly who they are, where they live, what the shoe size is.
The name's coming out in literally less than 2 minutes, team. Stay tuned.
I was going to say, yeah, I can feel myself crumbling with the tiredness and the coffee not quite hit peak yet.
Oh, that was fucking brilliant.
I know, I can't hold my water.
Right, so tell me, what did Alex the she say?
So Alex the she pretty much was saying that they avoid they pretty much avoid doing all the stuff that would actually help in terms of non-scale victories and all that. And in the comment section, we're just going fucking mental, going about, oh, like life's not for living and stuff, and your size and like avoiding that. But imagine, right, always try and do this with people. Right, let's take the emotion out of like scale weight and like body composition, and let's do the same thing with money. Like, let's be realistic about it. If you had somebody who was fucking poor, shite at spending, and go, do you know what? Life's for living. I don't look at my bank balance. I just spend what I can, but they were fucking skint. There'd be somebody going to them, mate, would you cop yourself on? Would you have a look at yourself? Like, you can't moan about being skint all the time, but you're constantly spending money like an arsehole because nobody's actually saying anything to you. Now, let's put the emotion back into it and let's go, that's exactly the same fucking thing that's happening with fat loss for this Alex woman that's not actually her name. But do you know what? I'd be raging if that is her name. I've just gave it away.
But, I'm going for a look soon, don't you worry.
But it's exactly the same thing that's happening there. It's like, you're trying to take away the accountability of you actually. It's almost like, I don't look at the scales because they're not reflective of what I am. And I'm like, that works for a very small percentage of people. That's not you, because clearly your actions are, you're eating what you want and you just don't want to look at the scales. Whereas if you actually just fucking had a wee bit more structure and clarity, I'll give you a wee message. You can come have a chat with us. We would very much get you in the right direction. That would be life changing. And do you know what? You still can enjoy things and have your life for living. But having a pizza every fucking day of the week, that's not living your life. That's just becoming like fucking laziness.
That's when it becomes problematic for sure. That's when it becomes dangerous to your health.
We've all done it. Like, sure, I coach you. I've done it myself. It's like we all get to a point where what something was enjoyable, it then becomes habit and routine, and you actually get to a point where I'm not even enjoying that. And for you, a lot of time that can be food. For me, that's like, if I've had like a weekend on the beer. By the time I've got to Sunday and having a cooler, I'm going, I'm not even enjoying this. Like, I
Yeah,
genuinely, I'm just sitting here going, right, this is just functional at this point. I need to sort myself out.
100%, mate. And I completely agree with that as well. Like, I could be, 3 days into eating what the fuck I want because I've had something go wrong, or I just can't be bothered, or I'm lacking sleep, or I've overworked, or I've burnt myself out. 3 days into like eating what I want, and I'm like, now it's at the point where I'm not enjoying it, but I'm still going to keep doing it to try and get as much of the food in as possible before I start getting back to normal. Do you know what I mean? And it's not even through enjoying it, it's laziness, like you said, it's laziness, it's stubbornness as well, to be like, right, let's try and get as much of this in. And then off the back of it, I end up feeling even worse when I know in myself. So obviously my chimp taking control, but I know in myself, I'm like, I don't want to be doing this right now, but
Yep.
I still fucking do it. And I'm a big boy, and I can own up to when I make mistakes and when I fuck up. But it sounds like Alex the She is trying to roll with it and trying to make it a thing and trying to be like, come follow me, do what you want, be the way you want, get unhealthy as fuck. If you're not like, see people that aren't happy in their own skin right now, following her and doing what she tells you to do is not going to make you feel any better. Yes, it might make you feel better for a week when you go, I feel invigorated. I feel like, oh, do you know what? I'm body positivity, and I'm all about body positivity. I don't care if you're 20 kilo or 200 kilo. Yes, 200 kilo might be dangerous. 20 kilo might be dangerous, but as long as you're fucking happy in your own skin, then I'm here for it. But if you want to make a change in your body composition, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And by following Alex the She, that is not the way to do it.
Yeah, I felt like last week me going into fucking like wars that are happening in the world was controversial. I feel like I can't do it another week of me being controversial, but actually I am here for people being positive. Like I'm very much in each to their own. Like
Mhm.
whatever you want to do, that's fine. I'm not going to consume mental energy with it, and I actually don't really have any sort of a judgment in terms of that. Like I've got friends of every different orientation, sex, size, whatever. I don't talk to people about fat loss who don't want to hear about fat loss. I don't speak to people about their views. It's literally you go and do what I've got. I used to have PT clients that were like conspiracy theorists, and I just used to let them speak. And I was like, I never gave a yes, no. If they had a really strong opinion, I'd have 1 hour, it would be somebody telling me about how the COVID vaccine, it was all a conspiracy to kill us. And I had another hour after it going, is people are stupid for not taking this COVID vaccine. Regardless of
Mhm.
my thoughts and views, I was just like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I can see why you feel that way, whatever. I would always be about leading the conversation in a way that didn't make them feel whatever. Like certain people do need to be challenged at times, but realistically, the positivity movement's where I stand in this. I'm going to try and do this without being controversial, but also get my points across here. I don't think there's anything to be proud of the fact that all of us are carrying more weight than we did 10 years ago, which is far more weight than we were carrying 50 years ago, which is far more weight than we're carrying 100 years ago. If we look at trends, that's only going one fucking way. And realistically, it's becoming more and more normal for people to be bigger, and all of us are being bigger, our families are bigger. Like, we're more unhealthy than we ever have been for most of us. I don't really think there's a lot to be fucking positive about. And I think that also goes not just the food size way of things, the fact that we're allowing and enabling that to happen by not challenging people at times when they need to be challenged. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, each their own, go and live your own life. But when you put things out there on the fucking internet, and it's albeit I've never been in the comment section of somebody saying, Alex, you need to sort your life out. It is very much where you're putting yourself out there for other people to do that for you. And I think sometimes there needs to be a little bit of that, right? If you're going to put yourself out there, there is a few wee problems you've got going on
Mhm.
in your own life. Like if any of us done that, then that's what happens. Don't come crying when the internet is it's a fucking horrible place.
I think Lizzo got a lot of backlash, didn't she? Because she's all about body positivity and she's morbidly obese.
I don't even know who Lizzo is, mate.
She's the black woman, the singer. I'm not even going to
Oh, is
try and
she the
say
one that
this.
does the big? I was going to say fat camp. She's not like girl than that, but she the one that does the like. She has I don't want to say concerts, but she has like fucking events and functions and stuff that's all about fat positivity.
Potentially, it could be. I think she's from like Texas or something like that.
but
Yeah, she got a lot of backlash. I think I actually think what's his name on YouTube, Alan Roberts.
don't know,
Do you
mate.
know Alan Roberts? He's an absolute bellend for Florida, absolute tadger. But he called her out and stuff like that. And same with Tess Holiday as well, the oversized model.
Nah, but no.
She's very oversized. Like she would upload videos on her Instagram of her just like it's like mukbangs or something they call it, and just eating like a full cake and stuff like that, and being like, oh, this is a way to be or live your life and all that sort of stuff. But they're promoting very unhealthy habits to children because it's all kids and stuff that watch them and look up to them and inspire to be them. And that's what I don't agree with. I don't agree with that because that's you. Essentially, you're eating your weight in an early grave, but just because you're doing it doesn't mean you have to then pass that on to your followers and your fans and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Just on that, I did see there was another unnamed person that I seen on Instagram going to somebody's concert event, whatever, that was all about like body positivity. But how come in these body positivity things is always extremely overweight people talking about it? You very rarely get a body positivity thing where it's people in all right shape. Like you don't need to be in great shape, but it's like it's not people who are just in good shape going, I really like how I look. Those people get slammed, but all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's like you need to. But then you look at when they were taking pictures and videos of this event. Everybody's fucking massive in this event. I'm like, what? So we've got somebody who's massive talking about how it's all right to be massive in an event that's full of massive people. And I'm like, I don't, the world is fucked, man. If you told people 150 years ago, like, if you know that way, it's like, oh, would you travel forward in time and travel back? If somebody 150 years ago got in a time machine and that's the first thing they seen when they came off that time machine, I'd be trying to fucking get my way back ASAP. I wouldn't even want to see you anymore. I'd be like, right, I'm done. See you later. Like, that's what is happening? Why is everybody like 4 foot wide? Like, how?
Aye. This is another very controversial topic in it, and I'm here for it. But we were supposed to be talking about how to get clients set up for success, and we've started talking about
That's what we do.
would you call them fat camps?
So South Park, even South Park's getting cancelled these days. They used to talk about Fat Camp. Fat Camp. Some of the best episodes were about Fat Camp.
But not like I'm the same as you, Kyle. I'm all for body positivity. I'm all for people feeling good in their own skin. But when people come to us and say that they don't feel good in their own skin, that's when change and sacrifices have to happen. Um,
Yeah,
going from, morbidly obese to obese is still amazing progress. And then going from obese to overweight is still fantastic. I'm just going based off the BMI chart just now, which it's a lot of nonsense, but just making progress like that can be completely life changing, can be life altering. And then off the back of that as well, you should automatically start feeling better as long as you're, doing the right things, um, hitting these small kind of bite-sized achievable tasks. Don't go into it starving yourself, trying to look like a Victoria's Secret model because I'm telling you right now, they do not feel good either. And that's gone from
is
one end of the
that your
spectrum to the
experience with
other.
all these Victoria's Secrets models? Is it?
Aye, I know. Fuck off. If you are a size 0 and you starve yourself on a daily, you're not feeling great.
Yeah, agreed. To be fair, actually going back to like getting people set up, or setting up for success, one of the key things on that after establishing like structure and clarity is actually just breaking down preconceived ideas.
Mhm.
A lot of the time it's like you'll get people and it'll be like, oh, I want to go to the gym 5 days a week and I want to run 2 days a week. I'm like, right, cool, what are you currently doing? Nothing. When's the last time you were at gym? Not been to gym. Have you ever ran before? Oh, I used to do it in high school. I'm like, right, sound. You do know, and again, I'm here, like we can put it in, but you do know that the purpose of like to get you in shape, we do this, and this. To get you feeling better, we do this, and this.
Mhm.
We don't need you to go to the gym 5 days a week. We actually, when you break it down to something, go, like, there are laws and there are rules. It's like, we can't get you going to the gym once a week and doing 5 minutes and expect a response. However, if we go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week to start off with, and we do anywhere between 40 minutes and an hour for the first wee bit because you're super receptive to exercise, then you start to see a response to that, and we should expect that. And again, we can adapt things as you start to get used to that. And in terms of like, probably one of the conversations I do have with people is when they talk about like, you get a lot of people who would be open and go, I don't like cardio. I'm like, right, cool, but we don't need to do formal
Yeah.
cardio. Where the conversation we said at the start is, I'm not going to repeat it, but like, cardio has its benefits. We can do cardio for the purpose of those benefits, but we don't need it from your goal is to look, again, great in a dress in 3 months' time. It's like, we don't need cardio to get you there, but where cardio can come in handy, is that something you want to do? Yes or no? Cool. Right, okay. We've now saved you 4 hours of your week going to the gym an extra 3 times and doing 2 runs that you probably were going to keep up for a week and then feel that you were failing. So we've now shaved that off and you're finding you're getting better results. Mad that.
I know. And that's because you're setting realistic, sustainable, achievable, bite-sized targets.
Was that smart? You just threw out there specific, measurable, achievable results and time, wasn't it? Smart-based goals.
There we go, smart-based goals. I didn't even mean that, but I'll take it.
I think you gave your own variation. It was a director's cut of that, mate.
That's the south side of Glasgow cut.
The altitude up there on Springburn must have got to you.
Fucking hell, it has got to me because Springburn's in the north side.
Fair enough.
Right, so to summarise so far, clarity from both parties is essential for you to make any sort of changes. And I mean clarity right down to, you know, the deepest levels of what you don't believe matters. Structure. We need to get a solid structure and set, you know, small, achievable, bite-sized tasks.
My man.
Set smart tasks.
10 points to Gryffindor.
What we don't want to be doing is setting you tasks or goals or exercises that you don't want to do. Sometimes you're going to need to do something you don't want to do to make a change, right? But what we want to do to kind of make you do that is sandwich it in between things that you do want to do. We don't want to just give you a full hours long run if you don't want to run, because you're not going to fucking do it. Therefore, you're going to revert back to old habits and you're probably going to just kind of stay the same, or you're going to find it even harder to make those changes. So sometimes we're just going to need to suck it up and do something that we don't want to do. But like I say, make it as easy for yourself as possible. If, however, you're waking up 4 or 5 days a week and you're being told to do something that you want that you don't want to do every single day, then it's no getting done. That's why these tasks need to be achievable and realistic.
I would throw in there as well, just not as well, in addition to that, because I know we've summarised so far, but I would throw in, do you know what? I used to like this word, but I fucking hate it now. Accountability.
Yes.
The reason that I dislike it at times is that I felt or feel sometimes with accountability, people who are constantly searching for accountability and that's all they want, a lot of the time they get that mistaken for ownership, in the sense that, like, oh, I just need to be accountable, I need to be accountable, I need to be accountable. They sometimes get that mixed up with, you want somebody to knock on your door, do your fucking laundry for you, make sure that your meals are prepped for you, make sure whatever. And it's like, you are going to have to take ownership. So don't get accountability and ownership mixed up. However, the accountability that I think needs to be provided is, are you still doing what you said you would do in the first place? So a lot of that can be, we can set you up. And again, I think it's important to remember, nobody has a fucking magic wand, no matter how good a coach you are. Like, we don't have a magic wand. It's not a pay Gary and get results guaranteed. It's that you still need to do your end of the bargain based on what we said. We can lay everything out to you to make it as frictionless as possible, but realistically, when it comes to you doing what you said you want to do, I always do this with like for instance, gym sessions. I've got somebody who, if I have somebody who says I want to go to the gym 3 days a week, but after 3 weeks they've been to the gym averaging once to twice a week, you need the conversation going, right, okay, I know we said we were going to the gym 3 days a week, but based on what's actually happening, you're going once or twice. I was like, there's no right or wrongs to this. If we go twice a week, that's fine. I was like, but can we look at, right, are we going twice a week? Because I think even just the anxiety of you beating yourself up for not going 3 times a week, then and then change it, tell them the difference in outcome. This is what happens if you go 3 times a week. This is what happens you go twice a week. This is the difference in end result. Are you okay with that? Cool. Right. Okay. Let's go twice a week until such times as you can prove you can go twice a week. And then if you want to bump up to 3 times a week, we can bump up to three. If you don't bump up to three,
Aye.
then that's absolutely fine. That's probably the most basic example of it, but ultimately just making sure that, again, another one could be, oh, actually, I'll give an example again without naming names. I have somebody at the moment who has lost a lot of weight, but is now, as what happens when you lose weight, they've lost a tremendous amount of weight, but they're like, oh, I want to lose more. And I'm like, right, we don't keep going until the scale hits zero, because zero is not a goal you need.
Yeah.
But realistically, they're like, I want to lose this next 3 kilos. So I'm like, you've lost 25, but there's 3 there. I'll have a conversation with him going, there does need to be a big push to lose the last 3. I'm here for it, but there needs to be a time frame put on it, because I'm not spending the next 6 months trying to lose 3 kilos, because the effort and time that takes. But the conversation being had for the last 3 weeks, all of their actions would reflect something completely differently than them trying to lose the last 3 kilos. And it's like, you then need to have that conversation with them going, right, okay, you keep on talking to me about wanting to lose this 3 kilos, but your actions are completely, like, they're completely different to what that is. What is going on? Can you have a conversation with me? And is it the case where you just have in your head there's a number, but actually that number isn't anything other than the number? Right now, when you've lost 25 kilos, you're looking and feeling a lot better. You're actually at the point where, do you know what, we set out to achieve, and that's okay. We can, but having that conversation, and it's okay to feel like you want things and actually understand that you don't want them at the end of the day, chasing them, and that's okay. We've all done it.
Yeah, he might tend to find it once he loses the 3 kilos, he feels worse than he does right now.
Yeah, agreed. Because the push sometimes for losing that 3 kilos isn't worth the squeeze. It genuinely
100%. 100%. That was a good point as well about accountability. I am obviously looking at it from different points of view and kind of comparing it to ownership and stuff as well. I think that rings so true with a lot of people. I think the majority of people get accountability confused. Because I mean, anybody I've spoke to, it's always been accountability, but then it is almost like ownership, like as if we need to, or they want us to do the gym sessions for them. We want to, cook for them, all that sort of carry on. Next point after having the structure in place, and that comes with like accountability and stuff like that as well, is fucking getting it done.
Get shit done.
Literally getting it done. Like you're super clear on your goals. Both parties are super clear. The structure is there in place. It's all realistic, achievable targets. Now it's just about getting to work. And don't worry if you can't, hit 100% of the tasks every single week. Because again, that's something that might not be sustainable long term. For me personally, see if you show up 70 to 80%, you will see progress. Of course, it's going to be slower than if you showed up 100% of the time, but you're still going to see progress, and we should be striving for progress, not perfection. If you take, one step forward every single day, yeah, you're going at a snail's pace, but you're still fucking progressing. Now, if you want changes to happen very quickly, then you're going to need to take more than one step forward a day. You're going to need to put the work in. You're going to need to make an effort. But yeah, sometimes people aren't in a rush. Sometimes people don't have a specific end date in mind, which is class. Sometimes people think I've got a holiday coming up soon, or I need to lose this by this time. I've got an operation coming up. I need to lose X amount of weight. So yeah, sometimes you need to put the work in a wee bit harder than other times.
I fundamentally believe that everybody should have some form of a roadmap to know exactly where they are at any given time. So whether you're in a rush to do it or not, you should know what you're actually aiming to achieve at any given time. So if you are aiming for fat loss, regardless of how long you're giving yourself, I would probably push back against that a little bit and go, right, cool, if you're giving yourself a year to lose 6 kilos, it's going to take you a year, because you're going to take a year to do it. However, we can do that in the next 8 to 10 weeks if you want to do it. This is what it's going to look like. I'm not pressing that upon you, but realistically, it's just how much time you want to give it. That's fine. These are pros, these are cons. So I think it is important people do understand where they are at any given time. I felt like I had something else to say in that, but I've completely forgot. So yeah, go on.
Nah, must have been a lie.
It probably was. The entire thing's just winging it until I can't anymore. So
no, that's a good point. Obviously that's something that you know, I need to consider a wee bit better as well, to be honest. Putting that into the perspective of, if you give yourself a year to lose 6 kilo, you will take that year. It fucking is so true. Like, just the way we are. Do you know what might happen? See, if somebody had a year to lose 6 kilo, they'd probably wait to the 45th or 46th week of the year and then really put the work in.
Mate, I have coached like some of the most driven people at any time, and at times when you see them on it, you're like, "Fuck, they are on it." And some of the
Yeah.
things, just with the volume of people, you're like, you do see different, no matter circumstance and stuff. If somebody wants something enough, and I think actually that was a point I was going to bring up in terms of like 70 to 80%. I 100% agree. If you had 52 weeks of the year, and I've said this time and time again, is if you have 52, 6 out of 10 weeks, then you've made a lot of steps forward. What I would say is two things. I'm all for challenging beliefs. Is you need to throw yourself into the process, like full stop. If you've got one step, 1 foot outside of it, like then you're always going to be looking for a way out, or you'll allow yourself off. So it's the whole Julius Caesar thing. It's like when you get there, you burn the boats. There is no way
Yeah.
back. If you're constantly giving yourself a way out, there will be a way out. If you're giving yourself a year to do what could be done in 6 weeks, you're going to take a year to do it. If, like, again, this is the problem with most people, is I'll start again Monday, and it's because they're not actually giving themselves a fucking time frame.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a what if, what if, what if. So it's important, I think, to have, and again, it's our job to do that as well. Tell people how long something's actually going to take. Be realistic with them. So also on the opposite end of the spectrum, if they're expecting like a year's worth of results in 6 weeks, that's not going to happen. That's going to
Yeah.
take you longer than what it is. I'm here for challenging beliefs, but realistically, there's nobody, and I'd be confident enough to tell people there's nobody who's going to be able to get that happening for you. And if they are, they're lying to you, and that's fine. You can go and pay them your
100%.
money, and I'll see you again in 6 months' time. Like, we'll have the same conversation.
Aye. Buying into empty promises.
Yeah, it is. It's like there is no. We're in a world where it's like there's get rich quick schemes.
Hmm.
There's like V-Shred promising you that the only thing that's wrong with you is you're eating the wrong stuff for your body type. You've got people telling you that it's actually the reason that you're not losing weight is because of this. The reason that you're not feeling energetic is because this. The reason that you're not energetic and you're not losing weight is because you've not been fucking consistent with anything. It's just the fact
Hmm.
that you keep letting yourself off every week, and that's okay. I've done that too when I've not had a specific goal. You've done it. Like, we all do it at times. It's human nature. But at the same time, having a clear, quantifiable goal and a time frame, having accountability of somebody who like actually challenges you on that. I think at times it's important to be challenged on
100%.
what you're doing.
Aye. Not to this point where you're, calling out their bullshit and whatnot, but I just challenging them because don't want to get too comfortable. That's why you are where you are at the minute. You got too comfortable and nothing's changed. So just having that person there challenging you is should help, light the fire under your bum and get you moving again.
I think for long-term success, whilst all of what I've talked about works in short term, I think for long-term success, there actually needs to be positive reinforcement about the things that they're doing well as
Yeah,
well.
100%.
I don't want to get away from that, and the fact that we have talked a lot about challenging people, and people can actually sometimes perceive that as like, we've all worked with coaches at times who it's like they tell you all the things that you've done wrong, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, you know what, you shouldn't be doing this at the week. Like, sure, if me and you were with a certain coach, like at any given time, and you're telling them that you're eating Percy pigs, or I'm telling them I'm scooping at the pints at the weekend, they'll be like, "Oh, you can't do that. You don't do that. If you want to get here, you need to."
Aye,
I
aye.
was like, "Sorry, mate, no worries. Right, that's fine. I'll keep eating from like a Tupperware, and just one or two things is going to happen. You're either not going to have any sort of belief in them, or you're going to lie to them and realize
Yeah,
that's not good long term." So I think positive reinforcement about the things that they're actually doing well a lot of the time. Sure, done it enough for yourself, done it enough for other clients. It's like, as you speak to them a lot of time about, like, cool, you're actually the worst at fucking beating yourself up about the thing that you've not done. If you've done 99 out of 100 things right, you'd find that one thing that you've done wrong and fixate on it. So a lot of the time it is about going, right, the data suggests this. You've done 99 things correct this week. That's all went well. We're definitely, if we looked at where you were 6 weeks ago and we looked at your behaviours, how you're showing up is very differently at the moment.
Mhm.
Our projected path is this. We're looking good. How are we feeling at this point? Good. The one thing that you've said that hasn't gone so well, cool. Is there room for improvement? Yes. What is it going to take to improve that? Can I help you with that? Whatever. Like, let's move forward in that. in that way rather than going. It could be very tempting to jump on that one thing with you and go, yeah, do you know what? You missed your steps by 100 on Wednesday. Like, you better get that. And I probably would, like, I probably wouldn't even bring that up. I'd be like, I'm not, that's so irrelevant. I'm not even bringing the fact that you've smashed everything else. Like,
I completely agree with that as well. And I think a lot of the time people just need to speak to themselves a wee bit better. Like I've dealt with so many people, especially over the past year, that the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like the reason they're feeling the way they are is because they treat themselves like shit.
yep.
So like you said, you pointed out about me, like I've dealt with so many people like that as well, where they've done so many good things in a day, in a week, in a month, and they just focus on one tiny wee thing, tell themselves that they're a failure, tell themselves that they're not doing things right, tell themselves that they're always going to be this way, that sort of stuff. So I think celebrating what you do well and fucking looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself nice, positive things.
I agree. I actually had a conversation with somebody like that on Tuesday. And I was like, because we're talking about the first 8 weeks they've been on board, and I framed it in such a way, I was like, right, okay, we're going to talk about what went well first, and then we'll talk about what not went well. So I took a list of everything they said went well. I've been to the gym consistently by myself for the first time in my life. I'm feeling a lot more energetic. Whilst it's not been a massive amount of weight loss, I've lost weight. I'm actually eating at the times I'm meant to eat, whatever. Right, cool. We had a list probably about this long of things that were good. Right, what's not went well? I probably could have been pushing weights a little bit heavier in the gym. What else? There was struggling. And I was like, right, every week I get a check-in from you and you're talking to yourself like shit about the things.
Yeah.
And even when you're talking about your weight loss, I'm like, you've lost 6 kilos in 8 weeks. I'm like, we can't ask for much more. So you're giving me a list this long of things that are positive, and you've got a list this small about being negative, but you're beating yourself up about the fact that you felt like you lifted slightly heavier in your first week of going to the gym by yourself. You're literally going back to week one. I'm like, I think we take that as a win. If we look at things and we relate out, like, again, this is why it's always, for me, about looking at data as well as how you feel, because both of them are important. But I think I always look at, like, a lot of people feel that they've had a nightmare of a week, and you actually look at the data and go, yeah, actually, you're doing well. But the opposite can be true as well. I think it's important to talk about that. You said about talking to yourself like a dick and everything else. There's some people who talk to themselves fucking great, as if they've had a great week, and as if they're perfect, and as if, like, you know what, it's fine, like, life's for living and all that. And I'm like, actually, if anything, you need a wee bit of a rock up your arse at times. I'm like, you can't get away with what you're doing and expect this to, like, you're holding on 8 weeks later and go, actually, I feel like I've had a great week. And I'm looking at it going, you've missed your steps every day of the week. You've missed your nutrition every day of the week. You've not been to the gym. The gym don't even, as far as I'm aware, because I live in a town, there's some people that tell me that, like, the person, I'm like, oh, have you seen such and such in a while? Not that I ask, but it's like, nah, I've not seen them in months. I'm like, well, you've not been seen in the gym in months and you think you're doing, like, great. You've not had your nutrition, your steps and that, and you're barely checking in, but you think you're doing great. Like, you need a word with yourself too. Have a word.
It's crazy how different people think and feel, and it's fucking wild, and it's nice for us as coaches because it's a nice challenge. It keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, it is, and to be fair, it's like it. I look at it, the more people you deal with, the better you get. You get
100%, yeah, for sure.
And it's like people's issues, whilst they're always dressed up differently, they always come down to the same type of things. It's just how they're dressed up and how you approach them. And again, if I've seen one thing, it's usually one of the things is just dressed up in a different way, and how do we find out what it is? But again, I think the key thing, just actually going back to all, is if you're starting a coaching process, or if you're starting something, you can Google all the answers. They're there. Like, the answers are there. But the thing that Google's not going to ask you is probing questions. Google's not going to ask you why it's not working in the first place for you, where it breaks down. Like, and if you've got a coach or you're going into a program, it's not asking you the questions, like, enough questions. It should be asking you questions. I actually get the fear when people contact me and I ask them some questions, and their responses are either really short, or they're not in detail, or they're reluctant to give you information. I'm like, well, at that point, I don't necessarily think we're going to be a good fit, because we need good information here for this to work properly.
Yeah, 100%. Data and information is super important for both parties.
Look, you can almost predict it. I sometimes see people, they contact me, like, I've had people 2 years ago contact me, and it's not gone any further, and they've reached out, and I'm like, you clearly want to change, but you're just not willing to put in that little bit of effort right now because you just want things to fix. You're hoping for something. I hoped for a fucking PlayStation 2 in 2004 from Santa Claus. It never came. Still never came. So with that, when you hope for things, they don't always happen. So I always find it interesting. Like every new year, I see them like on their story 2023.
Yeah.
They're tagging this new weight loss program in for the first 2 weeks of January. And I'm like, I know the way this is going. I'm like, if we just continued the conversation and you gave me a wee bit more detail and we could actually have, like, it's only going to take that little bit more of you putting yourself out there. We can do things, but it is going to take you actually understanding that to a level, there are things that aren't working properly.
Yeah.
Like you need to accept, for you to move forward, you need to accept what's got you in the position it has in the first place. It's not by accident, it's whatever. It's been a lead up of your decisions so far. And the longer you leave things don't get better, they tend to get worse. So we can have the conversation now, we can have the conversation in 2 years, we can have the conversation in 4 years, or we don't have the conversation at all. And that's absolutely fine because it goes on with or without you. And I think that's the big thing is like life, as Ferris Bueller said, life moves pretty quickly. Stop to look around every once in a while, it may just pass you by. And that's exactly what happens when people don't actually make a decision is they're sat on the fence and life moves by them and then they get bitter about how other people are doing well in life and it's luck and it's this and it's that. And it's not. It's the fact that they've been willing to take accountability themselves or ownership more so of where they are. Just take ownership of where you are in the first place. Why aren't things working well for you? Why are you... I'm not saying it's wrong, it's bad, or whatever, because I do it myself at times. I have Domino's Thursdays, I have pints on a Saturday. It's okay, but I know the rules. I bend them, and it is what it is. Some weeks better, some weeks good, some weeks bad. But it's like
sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
There you are. You've done it well, so that's why you're here, Gary. But at the same time, I think actually having that hands up.
I shouted that loud that I probably just woke Rachel's mum and dad up there.
To be fair, I had a good laugh at that. The impression was fucking spot on.
What's it? I harness my inner Gattuso.
I was going to say, I'm going to see if I can clip that and put it on Instagram.
Anyway, sorry, keep going, mate. You were on a fucking roll there.
Yeah, no, all I was saying is like I think a lot of time people need to understand that like right now it's like I've seen I'm all about the Instagram posts today. But I was like, if somebody could wake you up and say like and tell you when the good times actually are, like the good times are now, like right now, if you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance you're somewhere between the ages of 25 and 50. And really in those age ranges is when you are in the good times. You have enough of a direction that you can change things. And it's never too late and it's never too early, but really in those ages, that's a good age for you to actually get shit changed. And it's like the longer you leave it, the harder it becomes. And it's
100%.
Right now, understand where you are. Understand that if things aren't going well for you, it's not by mistake, it's not whatever. I'm actually having a conversation with somebody right now that they're talking again about hoping for things and like even the tonalities of checking, it's like, I'm hoping for a better week. I'm hoping that this will happen for me. And I'm like, right, that's all good. Again, I was hoping for a PS2 in 2004. Didn't happen. Never got to play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I mean, that's a life that nobody wants. But I was going to say, they're hoping for this and hope for that. And I'm like, it's not about hoping because realistically, hope is looking at stopping your own accountability for things, stopping your own ownership. You're hoping for, it's like me hoping for a sunny day tomorrow. I'm like, if it's not a sunny day, then what? And it's like, I then break things down into, right, okay, well, what are we going to do? What are the action points that you're going to do, irrespective of anything else? It's like, what do you do? You know, go and bring this full circle. Teddy Atlas, the boxing coach, trained Mike Tyson. You know Teddy Atlas? There's a great video of him where he's talking to somebody. I think it's like the best ring talk. I'll send it on to you, or we can link it into the description. But it's a minute long of him talking to his fighter in the corner. And the fighter, you literally see the change in his mood from the start to the end of it. And at the start of it, he's getting battered in the ring. And Teddy Atlas comes over and goes, look, you are going to face fire when you go out there. There's going to be a lot of fire coming, but do you know what you are? You're a firefighter. You're born with the fire. It's like you put fires out. So when you go back out there, expect the heat coming, but you are the firefighter. You are out there and you're going to, and it's like, genuinely, you get goosebumps in your skin. But I think that's an analogy for life. It's like people are hoping that life will get easy. I'm like, life isn't easy. Life for anybody, the people who are doing perceived well, have fucking probably more problems than you do. They're just dealing with them better. And the reason they're dealing with them better is because they're not hoping for better weeks. They're just fucking getting out there and doing things. They're firefighters. Be a fucking firefighter.
Mic drop.
Boom. I'll get my wee mic.
That was absolutely class, mate. I think we should wrap it up on that because I do not have anything to add to that. I think anything I say will just diminish and ruin everything that you've just said.
I think the caffeine just kicked in at the right point there, mate. But
Mate, that was wild, man. I was gripping my seat there, so I was.
I'm,
What a ride that was.
best ride you've had today. Anyway, on that, Gary, where can they find you?
At GMac_health and fitness on Instagram. Kyle, where can they find you?
Kyle_biofitness1 at Instagram. On Instagram.
On Instagram.
On Instagram. On Instagram.
I, as always, I'll link the pages in the description and the show notes below and in the description on YouTube. Thank you all very much for listening this week.
And bye-bye.